Good morning, beautiful people.
Hello everybody. So this is my brother. Some of you might know him on Instagram as Reborn Feral, and if you don't, you should, because he has more followers than me. Today we're going to talk about natural foot care, going barefoot, kids' shoes, kind of basically everything to do with feet.
Whoa.
And it's a bit of a departure from doing anything to do with hair or faith journaling or things I usually do, but I used to do a lot of videos like this. I did a healthy living series like 6-7 years ago, so it's a bit kind of a continuation of that, but it's just something I'm interested in, and I get a few people asking me questions about this in real life. So when that happens, I like to make a video because I like to help people, and this is a very helpful man right here. So
Thank you.
what's your name?
My name's Martin.
What do you do on Instagram?
I have like a journal which is about me spending time outdoors with my daughter and by myself, and my journeys in what I like to call rewilding, and how I live a more natural life or a more wild life in a civilized society.
I have a very important question. Who was the original hippie out of us two? Who
Alyssa.
Is me.
Alyssa
Thank
was the
you.
original hippie.
Even though now you've probably like overtaken me on the hippie levels, because your Instagram is just like ultimately beautiful and I can't get over it. Anyway, but it was me.
She was the first.
But you were the original barefoot. So
I was the original
that's why you're here. Tell everybody about your journey into barefoot, because you are, if you go onto his Instagram or you follow him on Instagram, you'll know he's barefoot most of the time, like literally with no shoes, not like barefoot shoes or minimalist shoes, but literally he doesn't wear shoes. How did it start? Go.
So I was a medic in the Navy for 7 years. I had the privilege of working with the Royal Marines Commando for most of that time. As part of that, I saw a lot of very broken feet, knees and ankles.
Yep.
And my job as a medic was to make sure that they were working and ready for operations or for the next exercise.
And this is probably an important thing, and I think it's cool, is you were like one of the only medics when you were out in like a group of people in
Afghanistan,
Afghan.
yeah.
So like people literally came to you in the desert to help with foot problems with their big fat boots.
Yes, definitely.
That's my breaking it down.
Yeah. And also like in the Highlands of Scotland, in Norway skiing, lots of different pressures on the body in the most extreme environments, and with like heavy weight on their back and lots of running.
And I'm assuming the boots are like not barefoot boots, are they? They're like
They
big,
are not.
sturdy,
So the
flat,
boots are like
all-weather.
Yeah, the boots are like splints. There's some of them are the most fantastic splints ever. Really good wide foot splints, very cushioned, and I mean some people wearing like 300-400 quid boots. I'm really good, even myself. And they feel really comfortable, but they do damage your feet because they basically immobilize your foot from sort of 6 inches up your calf to your toes.
Yeah, it's like permanent wellies.
Yes.
So then how did you go from there to being
So
barefoot?
during that time, I learned everything about insoles and binding the feet and strapping the feet and taping the feet and how to have anti-inflammatories and how to make feet and foot massage, all these things to make your foot better. And as I left the Navy, I started wearing less boots. And because of that, my feet started to change anyway. I also started running again a lot more, and every time I was running the Navy, every sort of 2 or 3 weeks, my right knee would blow out. I'd take 2 or 3 days off and just start running again.
Yeah.
And as I got out of the Navy, I had this happen more and more, and I was just like, this cannot be how humans design. I was only like 26, 27, and I was like, there is no way that humans are designed to break all the time.
And at like 26 or 27.
At 27, from running. I mean, there should be a way that we should be able to do that. Yeah. So as a medic who would regularly read medical journals or studies, I started looking into this, and I met a few people who were doing barefoot, and I thought, oh, this is really interesting. So I read into it, and then started trying it myself. And initially I just bought a pair of Vivo barefoot trainers.
Yeah.
And started running in them. And then I moved from there. Actually, initially, it hurt. Like my feet were obviously changing, and I went straight into running the same distance and the same technique, and I hurt my feet. But they didn't hurt badly.
Yeah.
And like within a couple of weeks of doing it, my Achilles got really strong and my calves got really strong. because I started running on my forefoot, or landing midfoot rather than forefoot,
actually
rather than
properly.
properly running.
Yeah.
Rather than boom, 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 hitting my heel every time and having that jolt all the way up my back, through all my joints, causing huge amounts of pressure. Over the sort of 3-month period, I transitioned from those to running sandals, and then I got some boots that I could wear day to day, which were the Vivo Barefoot Trackers, which I wouldn't recommend because they just aren't very durable. And then I went through lots and lots of different boots and different shoes, and over the last 5 years now, I've basically transitioned out of footwear completely because I just got to a point where my feet grew into their natural form, which is with a nice high arch, good bone splay, very strong musculature, strong, well sort of conditioned tendons. Yeah, now I just go barefoot because I find it the best.
And you run like that as well?
I run like that too, yeah. So I ran for a 4-miler this morning, multi-terrain, it's pretty nice.
Such a cool dude. And you've been known, I feel like you're known around your area for like not wearing shoes.
I do get stopped really regularly by old ladies with dogs going, either concerned that I don't have shoes, I've lost them, or they go, and I'll be in the middle of a run, I'll be sweaty and gross, and I'm quite a big guy, and they'll go, what on earth are you doing? Tell me about these shoes. And you'll be like, I'm obviously in the middle of a run. I don't have time to sit and spend half an hour chatting to you about my feet.
I love the accent. That was very appropriate for you.
Thank you.
So I want to start by just asking you what your daily routine is to look after your feet. Do you do anything to your feet? Because presumably, like, they get kind of dirty or like hard skin, things like that, or even when they're painful. Like, tell me what your routine is to look after your feet.
Okay, so I can't tell you my daily routine now because I don't have one.
There you go.
Because
you don't need it.
You don't need it because once you've got to the point where your feet have got a good jellied pad, just like a dog that gets a good lot of walking in, have these beautiful jelly pads that aren't hard or soft.
We do a close up later.
Yeah, of course. So probably once a month, I just spend a little time conditioning them. I oil them. I give them a dry brush. I oil them. I do a salt bath in them, and if I don't get that much foot pain. But also I have a better relationship with my feet. However, when I started out doing barefoot, I very consciously started engaging with my feet. And at the start, when your feet are changing, they do need a little bit of extra care. Yeah. I also think that it's very good in general because people sort of hide their feet all the time. If you have foot pain, quite a lot of it is just like, I'm going to ignore my feet until they get better. Or I'm going to put an insole in and they're still going to be hidden. So one of the first things I did was start interacting with my feet, started feeling the bones out, giving myself a little bit of massage, but not like a heavy one, just I got some best skin ever and started to just rub them.
As living libations.
Living libations.
So
I would dry brush them, rub them with best skin ever, and then I just make sure my nails were really trimmed.
That's cool.
And that would be it. And then if I had hard, basically, I feel like hard skin is an indicator, it's a symptom of negative footwear or a lack of different textures on your feet. So if you're always running, once I ran a half marathon barefoot on tarmac, and when I was training for that, my feet developed a hardened surface, really thick skinned at that point, and the outer layer of that cracked, but it wasn't painful. If you have painful cracking, I would say it's because you have too much sweat on the bottom of your foot.
Yeah, okay. You're so good at this, it's not even funny. I've already asked you about running with no shoes, but let's be specific here. What happens when you run and you're in the city and you land on something that really hurts?
Okay, so I have only had injuries 3 times. It's all been when I'm running really tired. Okay. And I run through every part of the city in Salisbury, and there are some pretty dirty, guilt-free bits.
Yeah.
When you start running barefoot, you do have to be slightly more aware, but you have to anyway because you're looking at the surfaces more. But you, over the time of you doing it, just like anything, that becomes subconscious, and so I just don't do it. The only time I had one bad injury was when I was racing someone else who was wearing shoes, and I was out to prove that I was still as fast as they were. And to be honest, I did really well at it until about mile 9, and I was running down a track, and it was a place where people had flight it, and I thought I picked my way through it. My feet were it was early November. My feet were really cold. I had lost sensation, but it wasn't bad loss of sensation, and I cut my big toe, most of the skin off. That's pretty gross, but that's the only bad injury I've had in 4 years barefooting, compared to blowing out my knee every 3 weeks when I had shoes.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, okay, that took about 3 weeks to rehab. compared to every 3 weeks having 3 days off.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because I think a lot of people would ask that question of like, is it going to hurt? What if I land on
The
something?
answer is you do need to progress. So I did go from a barefoot trainer to a sandal
when you
to
felt
barefoot.
more confident.
Yeah.
And
I did a lot of
and
like,
you knew what the terrain was like as well. When your like soles were getting thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, then you knew what you were running
your
on
body
as well,
slowly builds
part.
that proprioception. It's just like if you were to sculpt or do anything you use your hands for, you learn the movements and you learn how to feel, and you have to relearn to feel with your feet. The great thing about it though is because your feet straight away know they can read the terrain. You don't roll your ankle as much. You don't end up with any ankle problems because your body goes, oh wait a second, and then lifts it quicker. So you'll have these inbuilt responses that straight away means you don't twist your ankle running.
Okay, so one of the main reasons I really wanted to do this today was 2 really close friends of mine in the last 6 months have come to me to say, I've got really bad problems with my feet, they're really painful, and they're the same age as me, so they're early 30s, and I say, you're early 30s, this is not okay, and I always put them either in touch with you or give them the advice that you would give them, and say, well, have you considered barefoot? That's always my number one question. And if they've not heard of it, just explain a little bit more. And also our own mother really has gone through a really dramatic change in her feet. She had painful feet for like years. And she's now fully barefoot. She's not actually barefoot. I don't know what the technical term is here of being like, she actually wears shoes, but she wears barefoot minimalist shoes all of the time, and her feet are so much better. But you really helped in that transition because she was in a lot of pain. It was actually almost too painful to wear a different type of shoe than the one her feet had grown adjusted to. So you put her on a kind of regimen. You basically said, you need to go and do this and this. So tell everybody what that is, because if you are someone that's literally worn ballerina shoes to work or high-heeled shoes to work or just the same type of shoe and your foot really struggles to be in a different type, this is helpful.
Okay, so first of all, seek medical advice. However, this is a complete disclaimer. You should not listen to my advice at all, whatsoever. I am not a medic. But that being said, a medic told my mum that she would never be able to be out of foot pain. She took 2 years of pain meds before she decided to listen to me. And then within 3 months, we managed to turn that around. It will take a lot of time, and you do have to engage with your body.
There was an investment as well, price investment.
And if you wanted to do it in 3 months rather than a longer time, you can speed it up by spending money.
Yeah.
Just like most things. Okay.
Yes.
The things I recommend is, first of all, you need to basically look at your feet and look at the shape of your shoes. And any shoes that aren't the shape of your feet, throw them away.
Yes.
So if you look at your foot, it should sort of go outwards towards the front. And if it goes inwards, if your shoes go inwards, it's not so great.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would suggest getting 1 pair, something that's sort of simple, something that's easy for you to get. We'll go through some recommendations of shoes later on. The second thing is you need to start helping the muscles get to where they need to be. A good way to do this is to get a hard ball, a cricket ball. There's loads of massage balls online, and just basically in the evening, just roll your foot out with a massage ball. Really get in between each of the bones. You'll be able to feel it. Just roll it backwards and forwards and just start opening your feet out. If you are currently experiencing pain, I suggest a meadowsweet tea in the evening and an ice bathing your feet regularly whilst you're going through this process.
She did that really religiously, I remember that.
Yeah, and you do really have to do these things for a long period of time. So if you're ice bathing, it's like I need to ice bath my feet for 30 minutes until they're really cold. Then I have to roll my feet out for another 30 minutes. But you can do all that stuff while watching telly in the evening. The other thing I really recommend is getting a combination massage from a good masseuse, not a sports massage. So a combination massage would be something that feels really good. So I like Thai, Swedish, and a sports massage in the middle. So you're getting something that really works the muscles and fascia out, depending on your pain levels, generally from sort of calf all the way down. It's going to help your body as it's transitioning across. As your Achilles lengthens, as all of your ligaments and your muscles start to grow through wearing shoes that do not have a heel anymore or have these neutral soles, and your feet start moving more, it's just going to help that process. I would suggest, if you can afford it and you have the time, doing it at least twice a week. But even if you just do it once a week, it still helps that transition.
How much did Mum do? 'Cause I remember she went to Neil's Yard Remedies.
She did it once a week on a Thursday, but I think on the first couple of weeks when she was in a lot of pain, she went on it twice. Neil's Yard do have a good lot of masseuses, actually, and they are chains across the UK. Yeah, so a combination massage. So go to someone who's going to leave it with your feet feeling good. It also is just a great way to care for yourself and start to engage with your feet, because a lot of this is about disengagement. I'm just going to put them in the shoes and they're going to be better. Or I'm going to take this tablet and it's going to mean that the pain in my feet will go away. You're not actually dealing with the fact that you've had 20 or 30 years of just jamming your feet into whatever shoes. And then basically walk, slowly build up your feet, wearing the barefoot shoes, and don't go back to other shoes. When you're in pain, stretch your feet out. There's loads of different videos about foot stretching online. Focus on really lengthening your Achilles in stretches. There's so much more to it than that, but that's the basic.
So the most natural place to go next is what kind of shoes you prefer. What kind of shoes I wear, obviously, I'm going to tell you that as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about children's shoes, because I kind of feel like that's an area that a lot of people want to know about, because if you can start preventing any pain,
prevention is better than cure, definitely.
It's like definitely a lot easier. So what are your favourite pairs of shoes?
Okay, before this, I have tried so many different types of shoes over the last 5 years. And I've actually had my whole family with barefoot shoes. And so I've been able to go through a lot of brands and really have a look. So all of these are ones that I recommend. I think they're really robust. They're really good value for money. And they actually are good for your feet. So start with if you need to wear like a normal shoe, the one that I recommend for women, children, and adults, if you need something that looks pretty normal, is the Vivo Barefoot Gobi. This is my daughter's pair. The adult pair looks pretty similar. They have a very flexible sole and they look very normal. No one really ever questions when I'm wearing these. They just go, they look at them and think, normal shoe. When there is ground frost and it's wet, I find it just way too painful to run on. If there's snow, easy. But if it's wet ground frost in the winter, I do wear these Vibram 5 Fingers.
We were talking about these and saying how very, very classic they are. I feel like they are the original.
They are the original best foot,
shoe.
And they are really good. They do really help with your foot splay, which is like your feet returning to a normal bone alignment and muscular alignment.
And actually using your toes.
And using your toes, it really does help a lot. Yeah, these are brilliant. They also have a wool sock. I highly recommend the wool sock with these rather than any of the other ones. The shoe I wear the most at the moment is, these look really gross, the Earth Runners. They are the best all-round sandal because one, they look pretty normal. People like them. You can get a lot of options on them. They have a lot of flexibility, but they're also quite thick. So they do well on most terrains. I use them not very much for running, but they can be used for running. I use them for sort of walking around town, for other people, for places when it would be inappropriate for me to be fully barefoot. And as I said, in winter when there's that conduction, it does help to have a little layer between you and the world. The other ones that I highly recommend now, I used to recommend the
ones that I'm going to
recommend. Ones you're going to recommend as a running sandal, but because they are just straight to, anything that's straight to rubber ends up with you getting calloused and broken feet if you wear them regularly, because the sweat build up between you and the layer and they get slippery. And if you wear in a wet thing and it gets wet and muddy, you get this whole slippy layer and then you end up slipping all over the place and it ends up just being really painful and stupid. Okay, so I recommend the Monk sandals. They are made in Poland. They cost about 40 quid. And
is that
they
from a website or from Etsy?
They are from a website. You also can contact them through Instagram because their website is in Polish. If you contact them through Instagram, you can say, I have this size feet, and they will make them for you, and they will send you the files for you to print off and check your foot size. Okay. It's really helpful,
much
really
like
good customer
shoes,
services.
Actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are brilliant, like as a running shoe, as a running sandal, or just if you do a lot more sort of active stuff with the kids.
You can see how that, because of the base of it, would be so much nicer.
The leather feels really good. This, which spreads the pressure on your across the front of your big foot. This sort of wraps around. It's really classic sort of Grecian sandal style. It also it isn't the best for walking around sort of like normally, because it has a very aggressive sole, so it's good for movement and walking and running. But if you're just sort of wandering around the house, they're not the best grip.
There you go. So these are the ones that I love and recommend all the time, and these are the Zero shoes. They're the Genesis ones. I used to have a Murray Clouds as well. They're cute. but your lovely wife actually suggested these because they're probably a little bit longer wearing in the kind of way that they're made. So
they have a 5,000 mile guarantee, and they really stand by it. I replaced my first pair 3 times on that guarantee.
There you go. And I've had these. They're not laces, what are they called? Like straps, whatever. They resend those out to you and stuff if they fall off or break or whatever.
Really fast return as well.
Yeah, so I really, really like these. I have in fact bought these for other people. They are super comfortable, although that sole is super thin. Feels like a regular shoe, but I just love when the weather gets warm enough that I can wear these. I wear these in the rain even as well, just so long as it's warm enough, because I don't like having cold toes. But if I do have slightly chillier days, can you please pass me my Viva Barefoot Opankers? And I looked on the website and I can't see that they do these anymore, but they're kind of like a moccasin style, kind of hand stitched. They were incredibly expensive. They were a Christmas gift from my husband back when we lived in Belgium. But I really love these. They're super comfortable, and as you can see, the bit for my toes is significantly wider than a regular shoe.
Toe box.
Is that what it's called?
It's called the toe box, yeah.
There we go, the toe box is really wide. Anyway, I often get comments that these, I'm like wearing man shoes, and that's partly because my feet are so big, but I really like them. I think they're really cute. So,
I think they're just, the stitching on them looks fantastic.
And also if the stitching goes, you can send them back and they will restitch them for you.
That's so awesome.
So one of the questions I also get a lot of the time is, what about shoes for work? Different kinds of style shoes, especially for women, like pretty shoes, what options are there? Because if you think in your head that barefoot shoes or minimalist shoes are always going to be like a sandal or the Primus Light or something like that, or a Gobi, then you're thinking maybe there's not something cute for work or cute for school or something like that. But you have some suggestions, and I am going to save up for these because they're so pretty.
The Drifter Leather Company make custom shoes.
They're so nice.
You send them a tracing of your shoe, your foot. You have to make sure you do a really good tracing, and they will make a shoe that fits your foot perfectly. They are in a minimalist style, and they have so many different styles, and you can ask for any colour of leather, and it's actually quite reasonable. They're under 100 quid.
And they look very traditional, like a proper traditional shoe. You can get kind of like, not quite ballerina style ones, but like really just, they're so cute. And I just definitely need to.
They do have slip-ons, and they have boots, and they have like a strap-up shoe. They look very beautiful.
And then we were talking as well about winter boots. That's my current crisis. It's not really a crisis. I find I can find boots because of my feet being slightly bigger. I can usually find wider fit options in regular shops, but then you still don't have that flexible sole. But you may have solved this. So
there are 2 things. The Vivo Barefoot do a Scott, which is the winter boot. My wife wears those. They are very, they work really well, but they aren't a very effeminate boot. I don't like them very much in terms of visually. The other thing I recommend for both children, adults, men, and women is the Faye Moonwolf designs on Etsy. They're a moccasin maker, and they are fantastic. Looks so good.
Nice.
We had 1 pair. They wore really, really well on our children.
So there you go. There's a couple of options. I'll make sure everything is linked down below, all of the different shops and things like that. So now we're going to transition into kids' shoes, because I know a bunch of you will ask this question. Firstly, at what point would you put them in a shoe? Because actually that's a bit of a technicality. The longer you leave them without a shoe, the better their feet are going to develop, right? So,
yes. However, like, shoes aren't negative. It's just about the flexibility of the shoes. Get baby moccasins.
Yeah, we got like the little soft shoes, like totally soft leather, no sole. And he loved those. He walked around in those, I think, until he was like 2, and he wanted to go out a bit more. Yeah. And then a second we needed to go out a bit more, and we weren't just kind of like playing in other people's houses or whatnot, or in the garden or a safer place. Then we were like, oh, we should probably get him some like shoes with a bit more of a sole to it. But those lasted ages, and they're very cheap. So I was happy with that.
So with my first daughter, we had her in traditional shoes. It's like the ones you were going to show. They were so a bit more traditional, the bow bucks from a very young age. But with our second daughter, we didn't have her in shoes very often, and actually her feet developed very quickly into being very resilient.
Yeah.
She would naturally vote with her actions to wear no shoes more regularly, and her levels of pain with different surfaces and her ability to ever, she never got injured because she was so used to it from a young age. But that being said, the shoes that I recommend for children, again, are the Gobies for children. They're a good school shoe. They also make a kids black school shoe, which my daughter wears to school every day, and they look really great. They're like a normal Alice shoe. But the ones that she loves outside or for PE are the Freets. Now, we have again gone through loads of different shoes, and these are the ones she will choose again and again and again. Freets just look black like a plimsoll. They also have a really, really thin sole. They are super duper flexible. She moves in these just like she's wearing no shoes, and they are so comfortable. They are called the Freet Spring.
Freet like a chip.
Like Freet, like
like
free. Like
oh,
a foot,
like feet
but
with
free.
an R,
Yeah.
not like feet like a chip.
Free.
Okay.
And
I
they've
was
got two
thinking this
pictures
whole
of little
time it's a
things. They're 35 quid. They're also
Is
cheap.
that direct from them?
That's straight from them, yeah.
Okay.
So of all the shoes we've had, these are the ones I recommend to most people because they are at such a good price point. They're very robust.
I think they look quite traditional as well.
Yeah.
In like you say, they look a bit more like a plimsoll.
No one ever goes, what sort of weird shoes are you wearing to her, because they just look like a black trainer.
And they're easy to pull on because you've got that
super
joggy
easy.
as well.
And the fit's really snug around her foot so she doesn't have any movement inside the feet.
Yeah.
Which is probably the one thing I'd say about Gobies, because they have such a stronger leather and they are more robust. You do have a little bit of foot play inside the shoe.
Yeah. We bought her Earth Runners as well.
Yeah,
for
she loves those.
Christmas?
Yeah, she loves those. But again, the sole in the Earth Runners is just slightly thicker. So what we've done is you need to sort of mod them with a little bit of sandpaper on the bottom on the toe joint so that it can move.
You're so extra barefoot right now.
I know, sorry.
The shoes that I have kept our son in for ages. We started with Bobuck's Low Dimensions, which have got like a really big strap over the top when his feet were really, really tiny. And we always have gone a size up. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but someone told me that was a good idea in Belgium, so I kind of stuck to it. Is that a good idea?
It depends on the size of your feet.
Okay.
You want to have space for their feet to grow.
Yeah, I
and
think
spread.
it was. I don't like the idea of getting one that fits their feet right then, because
No,
then you'll
it's a
always
splint.
be exactly.
And you're also going to be buying shoes all the time.
That's the thing, and we've literally had 3 pairs, and he's, how old is he? 3 and a bit. So I don't know. I feel like that's quite good. And anyway, these aren't too expensive. So we started with Bobuck's Low Dimensions. Then we went to these ones, which you can see, you bend it and just see the difference. It's still got a really flexible sole, but it's not nearly as flexible as the Freets.
Yeah.
But they are super cute. Look at those. He is now in these, which if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen him in these literally all the time. He loves these. Again, same sole, and I can't remember what these are called. I think they're called like Timbers or something. But anyway, these have got covered in mud and survived. And
The Bobucks are really robust shoes.
They are so robust, it's not funny. I think that's why I wanted something a bit more robust, because, you know, he likes to jump in puddles, run in mud, and I wanted something that I knew would last. These are leather as well, of course, so if you're vegan, not an option, but definitely.
Bobucks do make vegan-friendly shoes as well.
Yeah.
We get them from happylittlesoles.co.uk. They are a fantastic page.
It's a really great website.
I would go as far as to say if you're buying anything from Happy Little Souls, it's a good choice.
Yes.
And it's a healthy choice to try. There are better choices on there. I would go with the more minimalist from my perspective. But there are more and more different brands coming out every year for children specifically, and I think now compared to like 5 years ago, the choices are huge. But again, be careful, because just because they say they're barefoot doesn't mean they're actually well made. And a lot of barefoot shoes, especially because they're new shoe companies and they're dealing with new stresses, the shoes are not very hard wearing. I learnt this by killing probably 10 pairs of shoes just really quickly. So especially if you go barefoot, some of the newer styles that don't last very long, you wear them, you think, yes, falls apart like a clown car.
Do they actually explain?
Well, it feels like it when you're out. Like I was teaching and had two pairs of trackers, and then the scene just popped and suddenly water coming in. I'm still out teaching for the rest of the day, and when you have a pair of shoes that don't work, it's not great. No. Or you're running and suddenly the whole of the top falls off.
You can see why you chose to actually just most of the time not wear any shoes, because it's so much easier to not have them explode.
Yeah, or just find the ones that are the simplest shoe.
Yeah.
Like the Gobies, like the Ras.
So one of the questions I get by friends of mine is, and it's also more of a statement, is, oh, I can't wear barefoot shoes because my feet are too flat or my arches are too high. talk.
Okay, so when I started my barefoot journey, my feet were, I still had quite healthy feet compared to a lot of my peers at that time. I had quite a nice arch, which would classically be a nice arch, but they were still relatively flat. My feet reduced in size in terms of length by almost an inch over the first 3 months. My arches got considerably higher because as your muscles and tendons develop and your bones start to splay, your feet return to a natural state. That isn't to say that if you have very, very bad flat feet, you shouldn't still see a doctor, etc.
So my experience of this is interesting because when probably like 10 years ago, I'd say, I went to a chiropodist and they said, you've got really flat feet. You need to wear insoles all of the time. In theory, my feet are or were really flat and I haven't actually like looked to see what the difference is, but I imagine my feet are looking a bit more normal. Also was developing a bunion like my grandmother, even though I'm 31. My feet look significantly better today simply from wearing my barefoot shoes. And I don't wear them all the time. I should probably aside this. I actually don't wear barefoot all the time like you.
No.
I wear barefoot most of the time in the summer and I really struggle in the winter, which is why I'm hoping to get some of those moccasin boots because that will really, really help that period.
So I would go back to, you are made to work, not to be broken. You shouldn't need a lot of support. A lot of these things are developed so that it's an easy answer for you. People would rather take 3 tablets a day than putting in a couple of weeks of work to make themselves better long term, because the work scares people because it means they have to face up to a problem or engage with their body. If you're willing to engage with your body in a meaningful way, you could have actual health in your feet. I don't think that over high arches is something that will either level out or is actually means you have very healthy feet.
Yeah.
Means you have a good strong musculature.
It just means your feet probably don't fit into traditional shoes.
Yes.
So maybe barefoot shoes are actually going to be much better for you than if the doctors are saying, oh, if your feet are painful and if they're being squished into a shoe that they're not supposed to be squished into. That sort of makes logical sense to me. Doesn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. Right, so should we answer some Instagram questions?
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay, first question is...
Do you think grounding is a real thing? I do.
Do you think grounding is a real thing? I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about
I've spent a lot of time researching this, and I think what it comes down to for me is, do I feel better when I have my bare feet on the ground? Yes. Do I think that I feel good when I walk barefoot on grass or soil or across sand? Yes, I do.
Yes.
Do I think that it matters about the electric charge of the world going up and down through me? I don't think it matters as much as having healthy feet and having a healthy connection with nature. I don't dismiss grounding broadly. I just think that it's not important compared to just having a healthy relationship with the outdoors and having healthy body.
Love that. I probably agree with that. I'm not sure about grounding so much as I love just stepping out in a morning when there's dew in my garden and putting my feet in the grass. I love that feeling. It's like putting your feet in the sand on a beach. It's a gorgeous feeling.
Oh, beach leaves as well. That's lush.
The most... Beach what?
Like when you walk on beach leaves in the autumn. Like that's amazing as well. Love that.
Not beach... You confused me. I was B-A... B-A-C-H,
you're talking about sand,
B-double-E-C-H. That confused me. Okay. Yes. And I guess snow for you, probably.
Snow feels amazing for a good 10 minutes, then you can't feel anything.
Yeah.
But it's less it doesn't feel bad like ice or frosty ground. Next question is 2 things. Firstly, how does he help prevent all the dry skin? It is not a problem. I don't have a problem with dry skin at all. Just like your hands, when they interact with different surfaces, and also they're not so... When you put them in socks every day, they sit in a pool of sweat all day.
Oh, a side question.
Yes.
Socks.
Socks, wool.
Only?
Wool cotton mixes and thin socks is the best. So
How do you feel about bamboo? Pete and I having a funny argument about bamboo the other day, bamboo socks.
I think that it's not necessary. Again, going back to my last thing, I don't think it's necessary. I think wool works really well for wicking. It's good at temperature regulation and it's good for moisture control. If you have a wool mixed sock, I think it works very well. I have ones that are 80% wool, 20% bamboo for the sort of stretch and the bit more durability.
Yeah.
I think they work very, very well. I don't think the bamboo really helps that much. Okay,
Carry on.
I think that for that though, when I was first doing it, when my feet were in transition, using Living Libations oil and having my feet completely exposed for as much as I can. In the evenings they can feel a bit strange, so then just dry brushing them and putting a bit of oil on them in the evening helps. Okay, secondly, as a diabetic, we are told look after your feet and being barefoot is frowned upon. Being barefoot is frowned upon by everybody because it's a new area of medicine and a new area of research. Most people are not taught about it. I think those people that are well informed in the medical community would suggest that it's a positive thing. I would suggest reading Katie Bowman's book, Whole Body Barefoot, if you are diabetic, just so you have a better understanding before you go to your medical practitioner. She does a fantastic book.
I have some not strong opinions, but it probably wouldn't connect with what a medical professional would say when it comes to diabetes and feet. I think the main issue comes if you're an older diabetic with actual neuropathy or an actual more severe risk of that. For my feet, I can still feel everything when they do. If you are diabetic, you have an annual check and they'll do like a little pin check to check you can still feel everything. I think so long as you can still feel everything, definitely going for, you know, we're supposed to look after our feet, but you can still wear barefoot shoes.
I would say this is a really good way to look after your feet.
Exactly.
And if you
100%.
increase the proprioception, which is the feeling through your feet, then you're going to have a better relationship with your feet, so you're going to know when you're starting to have neuropathy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas most people have no engagement with their feet, so they don't know when it's happening. Therefore, what is your opinion and his... Oh, I'd love to know from the Barefoot Dream Team. Okay, so that's our opinion.
There you go. Do you do it so long as you can still feel stuff in your feet? If you can't feel stuff in your feet, maybe go for something that is a thicker sole barefoot option for adults.
So like
The
Earth
Gobi.
Runners or the Gobies.
Yeah.
Or, there's lots. Features to look for in shoes for adults and kids when footwear is necessary. Okay.
I've sort of done that.
You want a zero drop shoe, flat. If you can't at least roll it one circle, don't buy it. Zero drop. Can you roll it in a circle?
What does that mean? Sorry.
As in, so there's no heel.
Oh yeah, okay,
Any
yeah.
heel shortens your Achilles, shortens all the tendons at the back of your knee, starts to do bad things to your lower back and hips. It's pretty terrible. The last question is, how do those with really high arches go barefoot without a lot of pain? Everyone goes through some level of pain when they're going barefoot.
Yeah.
However, with a steady, slow transition and all those things we've talked about, massage, ice, rest, slow grade anti-inflammatory teas, and taking it slowly and realizing you did this damage over a very long period of time, intentionally or unintentionally, and it will take a long time. So even now, after 5 years, my feet are only just, some of the bits are only just changing. So my little toe, for example, it's only just slowly turning out into alignment. And that's 5 years on.
Yeah. The only thing I really noticed was my toes really hurting at the end of the day. That's what I noticed. That's the only pain I actually
Because they're splaying out and used.
They're actually being used. I used to most of the time just wearing like ballerina flats, and that literally your toes don't move at all.
And your feet will go from toes that are straight, almost out from your toe, to feet that are slightly round, and it means they start gripping. And now my feet are more like this. They use them all the time, almost like a finger, so they can grip and move with the ground. For a lot of people, making your feet look beautiful through shoes is a real sort of thing, and people have a negative relationship with the look of their feet.
Yeah.
Feet that are quite with bunions or squished in toes, and lots of things can look quite ugly, especially if you wear socks a lot. You end up with quite dry skin, horrible looking pale feet, and squished in toes, and there's gross stuff going on. You don't look after them because you've disengaged with them. And I think that you can have very beautiful bare feet, and you can have very beautiful barefoot shoes. And I think actually feet in natural alignment do look great, because they actually look healthy and less sort of wizened. My wife really struggled with this initially because she was like, I just don't like the fact that I'm not being able to dress my feet up. And so she worked this through with tried anklets, she tried henna, she has like toe rings, and she does do a lot of like painting her nails.
She still does.
She does all those things, and I think she now just cycles those through. I think also as her feet have got healthier, she needs less ornamentation, and because she has a better relationship, as in she's actually engaged with that part of her body, she now has a different relationship with it. So she looks at them and goes, my feet look healthy, full stop. And so there is less need for ornamentation for her now.
And there are some really, really great natural nail polish brands. I use Benecos most of the time, and they're super cheap and they last ages.
Another quick one, just to add on. For dry feet, salt baths. Salt baths and coconut oil help dry skin way better than any other product. If you have severely dry
whole
feet,
bath, not just your feet.
oh, you can do the whole. I do the whole bath.
Whole bath.
But you can just do foot bathing.
Any particular salt?
I like Himalayan rock salt. I think it has the best salt profile and is slightly less caustic on your feet. So I use Himalayan salt, soak my feet for about 10 minutes.
How much?
Oh, like a lot.
Okay.
You can buy these huge bags, and I bought like a 25-kilo bag about 3 years ago, and I'm probably about a good 2/3 of the way through it.
Okay.
So I'll use like in a bath, I'll do it until like almost can't dissolve it, so it's really thick.
Wow.
And it's really
How much
good
coconut oil?
Oh, and I'll just put, I don't know, until my hands are very slimy, and then just rub it all over my feet, and then sit until my feet are dry.
Okay.
And that takes about 40 minutes, I reckon, whole thing. Make sure your feet are fully dry before you...
It's about like that intention as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about really loving your
engaging with your feet. Love the feet. Care for them.
feet.
If you don't care for them for ages, and then be surprised when they're in pain...
So now we are going to do a foot close-up of both of our feet, mostly focusing on yours because I think people want to know what it looks like after 5 years of barefoot.
And then...
Balance, balance, balance. It's kind of...
You see my little toe is still turning out. It's used to be tucked under, kind of show it like that, probably. And my feet were quite squished together.
Like mine on the right.
Yeah.
Not mine on the left is alright. Mine on the right is not okay. It's funny how one foot is faster than the other, I remember that.
I really hope you found this information really helpful. Remember, this is not instead of your medical professional. I will, however, answer any more questions you have through DMs on Instagram, and really hope that you have healthier feet as a result of this conversation.
Yes, and if you like this video, please give it a hearty thumbs up. Leave comments down below letting us know if you are barefoot, you're interested, or you wouldn't do it, and why. And yeah, I really hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for joining us for so long. If you stuck with us for this long, you are legends, and we love you very much.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.